Great afternoon to you, everyone. I am Chris Gardner, owner of the Houston Roundball Review, and welcome to another edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover, powered by JM&E. My colleague Andre Jones, AJ Jones, trust me each Thursday to do this. He's a brave man for doing that. But today, joining me is none other than Morgan Uber from the American Video Coordinator. She does work with the Longhorns or Big 12. Which is it, or both?
Longhorn Network, ESPN, the American Athletic Conference. I've been a little bit of everywhere this fall. Chris, thanks so much for having me, and excited to share a bit of my journey and a bit of what I do with you and with our fans watching here today.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to make this happen today on this Thursday edition of the Takeover. Let's have some background for those who don't know who you are, which I don't know how that's possible, but tell the viewers and everybody watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, X, Roku, all those platforms watching us right now, a little bit about Miss Morgan Uber.
Well, thanks, Chris. I am the reporter and director of video communications here at the American Athletic Conference. As you can see, I'm coming to you live from our beautiful studios here in Dallas, Texas. I also am a freelance reporter for ESPN during the college football season, which it's my second year getting a little bit of that freelance work, which has been fantastic. And right now, we're actually gearing up for basketball media days on ESPN Plus, coming up here shortly in just a little bit over a week away. And so I will be hosting basketball media days. So this is sort of the best and busiest time of year for me, getting to cover everything from football to men's and women's soccer to volleyball in the fall. And then in the spring, I cover American softball, baseball, golf, all the sports. So I've worked in college athletics now. This is the third conference that I've worked full time for. I started with the Patriot League back in 2016.
Wow, okay.
That's where I got really my first taste of college athletics. I was their digital correspondent there, pretty similar role to what I'm doing here. Lived up in the Northeast, first time, living up in cold country up there. And it was great, fantastic. I would drive to all of those schools and interview student athletes. I was a one-woman show, pretty much. So lugging around camera equipment in Boston University, if you could just picture that. And then from there, I got an opportunity to come back close to home and work for the Big 12 Conference, similar role as the digital correspondent there. And then in the summer of 2021, I was offered an opportunity to come and move across the street from the Big 12, right across 114 here in Irving, Texas, to come work for the American. And it has been, an incredible ride. And college athletics was always something that I was passionate about and wanted to do. And I sort of carved my niche within that. So I'm really, living the dream on all fronts right now.
Did you, when the American was in Providence, do some work for the conference way back when?
No, actually, so Haley Outen was the reporter before me. And so it was funny. I, had gone to working in this college athletics space. It really is a small world. We say that with every industry, but, every year it just seems to get smaller and smaller. My first conference I attended in the college space was called SVG Sports Video Group in the summer of 2016. And that's where I met Haley Outen. I met Tom Ojackson. And that's really where I learned, all about the American and the great things that they were doing. Tom has since retired, but, having a commissioner like Mike Aresco, who's been in the television space, right? A network executive at CBS and ESPN, he gets the sort of the digital world and the way things are trending. So they've made great investment within this space. So I met them back in 2016 and always kind of stayed on Tom's radar. And when the opportunity presented itself, they were in a hiring freeze during COVID, as was everyone within college athletics. But as soon as that hiring freeze had ended, the position opened up. And sure enough, I was able to get the opportunity when they moved from Providence to Dallas. So no, I never had to move up there.
And you are a Missouri grad. So
yes.
Going up east with cold, that was how different. How much of a shock was that for you?
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, my Midwest, I really got my first taste of it then. Like, that's when I bought my first winter coat, experienced my first, blizzard, I guess you could say. Here in Dallas, we'll get our ice storms. So, certainly used to that. But my family's also all from Ohio. My parents were born and raised there, so a lot of cousins up there. So used to spending Christmas and holidays up in that part of the country as well. And really that's when, I owe a lot to that family and that side of my life for really getting me into sports, all Ohio State Buckeyes fans up there. I never really latched on to that fandom, but I latched on to their passion of sports. So I guess I have to thank the Ohio State Buckeyes in some capacity for really getting me into sports when I was, 3, 4, 5 years old.
Okay, that was going to be one of my questions. Did you grow up a sports fan for this background?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's my dad and brother. I owe really a lot to them. I found myself, I was a real girly girl growing up, but I did play every sport too, literally everything. And I think when you grow up in Texas, right, football is king.
Yes.
Friday night lights, going to those games as, a young kid with my dad, and then, eventually going to high school and being around it. I played lacrosse, and we would always have lacrosse practices on Saturday mornings, and they were so early that I was able to come back and actually catch the last hour or two of college game day. So here I was 13, 14 years old, and I was racing home to watch college game day and then the 11 a.m., central kickoff, and would just spend most of my Saturdays watching college football as a 13, 14-year-old girl. And that's when I knew I would watch those sideline reporters and, said, I want to be one of them one day. So it is cool that I've, finally am accomplishing some of these dreams I had, nearly 15, 16, 17 years ago. It's kind of crazy to think about that.
Going from, you still do work for the Longhorns on the sideline. I see you do that. But Big 12 to the American, how would you describe the transition?
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. So some of the things that I was doing at the Big 12, I brought here with me. It's almost every part of my journey. I've been able to carry, things I've learned from different people I've worked with. At the Big 12, certainly a lot more eyeballs, I guess you could say, on some of the things we were doing when you had Baylor win the national championship in men's basketball while I was there. Baylor and women's basketball too, just an absolute powerhouse. And, Texas was actually kind of down when I was with them, but, and Oklahoma winning the national championship in softball. So, while there were definitely, more higher ranked teams, at the end of the day, what we're doing is still covering student athletes, covering the programs, covering the coaches. So not, much of what I do changes per se, maybe just the amount of views and likes that we get on social media, maybe a little bit less here at the American, but really, the student athlete stories and the things they're doing off the field, getting to learn about them as people, it's the same no matter where I've been. The Patriot League, they were definitely, very studious, very prestigious universities. So it was always awesome to learn about, football players that were planning to go to medical school. I mean, you don't hear those types of stories. So certainly it's had its differences, no matter where I've been, but I do believe the American has almost become like this go-between of what my experience was at the Patriot League and what my experience was at the Big 12, sort of finding that middle ground and being able to tell some of these really neat stories.
What have you learned from working with interviewing Commissioner Mike Aresco?
Yeah, I mean, wow. I will say, like, the things that commissioners do that we don't realize, behind the scenes, all the different hats and jobs and things they do, it's so impressive. And Mike Aresco, I mean, definitely embodies, all of that. The biggest thing though I've learned from him is probably just the relationship piece, right? I remember my very first day starting here, before I had even, gotten access to my computer or my email. I already had an email in my inbox directly from him, a very welcoming, well-written note, an incredible communicator, as everyone that knows him and has heard him speak or write, knows. And the relationship piece, I mean, it shows within our office, knowing the staff, having conversations. He'll pop in my office and just talk football on a Monday morning, some of the different things and results that we saw over the weekend, which is always fun. And, but the relationships too with our schools, and almost being able to take the emotion out of things, in terms of, he's very passionate, but we've obviously had a great deal of realignment and transformation that we've seen here in this conference over the past few years, and most recently now with SMU. But just being able to kind of handle all of that with poise and not let it's a business decision. It's not personal. And that's how these, schools see it. That's how he sees it. And he's just been extremely professional about the entire thing. So yeah, so many things that I've learned, just getting to know him, and love whenever we get the chance to have him here in our studios, but, obviously have the hallway conversations with him in the office as well, which is great.
And I've gotten to interview Commissioner Aresco and seen him and talked to him a few times at media days. He's passionate about the conference, professional. One thing you touched on, and he's said numerous times about the realignment, it's business. It's not personal. He understands schools have to do what they believe is best for them. How has the realignment with schools coming in, leaving, has it impacted what you do for your job?
Yeah, no, I mean, not at all. And I think, I've tried to sort of put that same hat on, right, that Commissioner Aresco has, and that, it's not personal, good for Houston, Cincinnati, UCF, moving over to the Big 12. And, if that's what's best for those, athletics programs and those universities, great for them. But we're really excited about the 6 new schools that we have here within the American. It's been, it was my first month on the job, maybe 4 or 5 weeks in at that point, when everything kind of was breaking and was announced that we were losing the 3 and bringing in the 6. And we were able to interview all the new athletic directors, all the new presidents that day, in September of 2021. And then, now that the day was finally here, I mean, the amount of work that our team put in this summer, I mean, normally our summer time, right, where you can kind of kick back, relax, take that PTO. But, I got to give a lot of credit to the team we have here at the American and the experience that we wanted to give these new fan bases. We put together some outstanding work on social media, and if you haven't seen it, I encourage anyone watching to go check it out to learn about these 6 new schools. We wanted to give our existing fan bases some things to learn about, to know about their new competition. And so we did these welcome videos that were sort of a passion project of mine and my colleague Matt Sizik. We did just different things about mascots, places within the town, what makes these markets special, where hopefully our fans are going to go travel and go to a football game on a college Saturday in Birmingham, Alabama. So we really wanted to give our fans the knowledge of these new schools. So in a way, I guess it certainly added a lot to our plate over the past year. And then certainly adding a lot to my plate now, in that I've got to learn all these new teams, these new schools. It's not like I just cover football and men's and women's basketball. It's, learning about the soccer programs, the softball, the baseballs as well. So I guess in a way it's added to my plate. But, for me, I love getting to explore new campuses and see new things. So I'm definitely looking forward to making my rounds here, as things start picking up, and getting on the road to some football games now that we're in conference play.
Have you been to Rice yet?
Not yet. No, I'm hoping to get there and hoping to be on the call for a football game, probably down the stretch of conference play. It's great that, ESPN, my work with them sort of aligns in a way with what I'm getting to do at the American. So hopefully going to be on some more American games after we get through basketball media days here in a couple weeks, but looking forward to it. I've been to UTSA. I was in the Dome for their 2nd largest crowd in history against Texas State week 2. That was a scene and absolutely incredible, and a great game, a great win for UTSA, especially after Texas State the week before had just beat Baylor. So that's the only new campus that I've been to so far, other than, of course, North Texas, which is right in my backyard. I've been up there and talked to some students and met with some faculty up there, but have not experienced a game up there yet.
How do you prepare for when you do a sideline reporting assignment? What is your preparation like for those games?
Yeah, man, there's so much more that goes into it, I think, than people realize. A lot of the times I like to watch the game, the games that those teams played the week before. Usually I'm out working a game on a Saturday, so I didn't get to watch those teams play in that game. So if I have time, usually on Sundays and Mondays, that's the first thing I do. And then a lot of it is reading, getting my hands on as much material early in the week as possible, to then help my conversations that I have later in the week with coaches and players. So usually we'll meet with the visiting team over Zoom on Wednesday or Thursday. We'll talk to a head coach, offensive and defensive coordinators. And then usually for games that I'm doing, I'll meet with the home team on Friday. So same thing, head coach, coordinators, and then sometimes they'll also bring in players. But as a reporter, I always want to bring things that are different than the booth, because the play-by-play and analysts are in on those Zooms and conversations with me. But what can I bring that's different? I developed the relationships with the SIDs, get to know them, and I request player phone calls usually early in the week and try to get those on Wednesday or Thursday. So I'm bringing unique stories to the broadcast. Hopefully, I always love shedding light on stories that people maybe haven't heard before about a particular player. So I'll come in with anywhere from 10 to 12 stories, but my goal is to sort of not use any of those. It's to be eyes and ears, and sort of sometimes it's being eyes and ears and reporting on a story that I'm seeing or hearing, and then taking part of what I've learned about that given player in the week, and incorporating that into my story, if that makes sense, so that it's still relevant. I never want to take away from the broadcast, the conversation that the play-by-play and analysts are having. So to integrate it seamlessly is something that I take a lot of pride in. And, certainly it's, you watch, Molly McGrath, Laura Rutledge, Chris Budden, Holly Rowe, some of the best, and, try to learn from them the weeks that I have off. But yeah, that's sort of the Spark Notes, I guess, version of my prep.
You're leading me into another question, but first I want to acknowledge from some of the folks watching on YouTube, Miss Wanda Polk says, good afternoon. She is a diehard Houston Cougar supporter, but she also supports the Houston Roundball Review. So I'm sure she's seen you the last few years when the Cougs were in the American. And Miss Donna Holman is a Texas Southern University. I want to say Miss Donna's an alum, but she watches this show as well. So she says hello also. And then a rock hard supporter, Tony M, is a supporter of all my live stream shows. So he says hi as well and salutes. So thank you to all of them for tuning in on YouTube and watching, whether you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, X, Twitch, Roku. I'm speaking with Miss Morgan Uber from the American, the video coordinator, but also ESPN, silent reporter, a little bit of everything. But my question for you, you mentioned some of the names. Who are, I guess, for women's right now, but who are women you admire and look up to in the industry?
Gosh, there's so many. I mean, yeah, I mentioned a few. Chris Budden has been, one that has certainly been a great mentor to me. She also went to the University of Missouri. She's also from Dallas. So we had so much in common. She's, 9-10 years older than me. So, she's someone that I pick her brain of often. Stormy Bonantoni is also another one that has become
a great name.
Yes. And if you don't, Stormy is a sideline reporter for ESPN. She also hosts on VSiN, doing some sports betting stuff in Las Vegas. And I really think, she has been sort of my saving grace over the past couple years, but really we met when she was back at the Mountain West working as a digital correspondent. I was at the Patriot League. And so ever since 2016, she's really helped mentor me along the way. She's just, a year or so older than me. But, those are two that I know personally that I owe a lot of success to. I think, another one that I don't know, but really, admire big time, Molly McGrath. There was an incredible story on her on The Athletic about just a day's work and someone that shadowed her and, watched sort of what she did on the sideline. And I took that, that message that I told you just a few moments ago of, I try to not use any of those in-game stories and just be eyes and ears, because that's really why a sideline reporter is there. Molly, that's firsthand. She'll be the first one to say that all these ladies too that are working moms. I mean, Chris, Molly, so many others, Allison Williams, that can balance it all. It's pretty incredible. And while I don't have kids yet, my husband and I, we got married a year ago, and it's certainly something we're hopeful for. Yeah, thank you. And so it's great to just see these women continue in these careers, yet, while the balance they might not think it's there, from us, on the outside looking in, it's pretty amazing that they are able to balance and juggle it all.
You've touched on it a couple of times in this discussion so far about hoping to get a chance to call some games. So what are some of your career goals for Miss Morgan Uber?
I think just continuing, on this path that I'm on, and being able to work for a network has always been a major goal of mine, whether it's, continuing to work and get more games with ESPN, or whether it's a Fox or NBC, sort of just continuing, in the path of working for a network, doing sideline or hosting, or a combination of both. Maria Taylor, I think, is one, at NBC, Laura Rutledge, another one, at ESPN, that hosts, shows during the week, Laura doing NFL Live, and then being at a Monday night game for ESPN or ABC on the sidelines. And she's on SEC Nation on a Saturday. That woman, that's another one I didn't mention, that I really admire. But yeah, just continuing to host, which I do. We do a weekly show here at the American, and doing my sideline games, but just, continuing to elevate that and continue on this path.
If you see you getting some love right here from Miss Donna. She's great.
Thank you, Donna. I appreciate that.
And what advice do you have for young ladies specifically who hope to follow in your footsteps one day?
This sounds so simple, but I think the biggest and most important thing is just being kind, being nice to people, and being genuine. And I say that because there's so many people that work behind the scenes for you, whether, you're hosting or sideline reporting, to put on a broadcast, and, treating those people just like you would treat your play-by-play or analyst, and realizing, it takes an entire team, everyone doing their part, to make the show go. So being nice to everyone you meet, your reputation follows you, and certainly, working hard. I think, again, another thing that sounds so simple, but I think in this industry, you really have to want it. I've had to make a lot of sacrifices, doing long distance for 6 years, being away from my family, missing holidays, missing weddings, all of those things. You really have to remember your why and why you got into it to keep going. I mean, I'm 8 years out of college now, and finally just breaking through some of the goals that I've had for myself. But those past 7.5, certainly were not without their trials and tribulations. So if there's two things you can take away and remember, if you're aspiring to be a sports broadcaster, I would say be kind and work hard, and dream big, are my 3 pieces of advice.
Will you have someone working with you at the American Media Days coming up?
Yeah, so it hasn't been officially announced yet, who the talent is going to be. Unfortunately, I can't break it here right now.
I was trying. Okay.
I know. We're really excited about it. Let me tell you, be keeping your eyes open on the American's website. We'll be announcing it here in the coming days. The amount of talent that we're going to have at Media Days is incredible. We'll have the live show, which will be on ESPN Plus on Monday, October 9th. Is that the 9th? Yes.
Yep.
So I'll have, a slew of talent that will be with me as analysts. And then we'll also have a whole lot of people that are also going to be there from a social media perspective, working on behalf of the American, some big names involved on both sides. So there will be a release coming soon. So keep your eyes peeled, but I can't give away anything quite yet.
That's all right. I'll be there. So it's okay. I'll have a chance to see who the talent is, hopefully, and get a chance to talk to the talent.
Yes.
I wanted to acknowledge this. During the few days that run up to July 1st with the shifts in conference alignment, in my opinion, the Americans' social media did a better job than the Big 12 social media in terms of telling stories of the new members, the welcoming, the tidbits. I thought it was great. So I want to give you kudos for that. We touched on it before the show, how you and staff, you do more with less. America's budget is not as big as the Big 12's budget. But for sure, if you were following both conference platforms that week up, you could not tell who had more and who had less. So salute to you for that. And I'm proud. I'm going to say this as well, because the Cougs started the American when the American started, and I've been covering the American since the beginning. So Morgan asked me if I was going to continue covering the American. Yes, of course. I'm going to do that for sure. So I'm looking forward to seeing everybody on October 9th in Dallas, you as well. But I just definitely wanted to commend you and the staff, social media, for the job you did leading up to and continuing throughout this football season so far.
Thank you, Chris. That means a lot. We do have a great team of people that, are really have one common goal, and that's, shedding light and shedding positivity and shedding, the student athletes' stories. And I think, Chuck Sullivan, my boss here, does a great job of hiring the right people, getting the right people in place, overseeing our external relations team. So we do have a great team, and definitely lucky to be a part of it. I appreciate all of those great comments, and we'll certainly, let our team know as well. I'll have to tell them to watch this on demand to see all of your kudos, but we're certainly happy you're going to continue to cover the conference, despite Houston moving on. But hey, we've got Rice in that Houston market too, and certainly excited about what the Owls add to the conference.
And more kind words from Ms. Donna Holman. Morgan, she says you give great advice as well for new and upcoming sports journalists. See, this show loves you, Morgan. This show loves you.
I love mentoring young females. That's what I do in my spare time. I carve out usually 2 to 3 phone calls a week, taking calls from women that reach out on LinkedIn, X, Twitter, Instagram. So that's sort of been my passion project of, just how I give back and how I fill my cup up, in a world and industry that sometimes, pretty crazy and can be negative in some ways, but just giving back to women and younger journalists who, certainly, want to excel, because I had so many mentors and people who did it for me. So you got to pay it forward.
Exactly. Agreed. You are part of the Americans football, is it weekly show, football show?
Yes. Yeah. We have a show on YouTube. Be sure to check it out. It's called All American. It's part of it is a football show. And then we also highlight our Olympic sports as well through a top play segment, some highlights in an American's Best segment. The first, 15, 20 minutes, we have Taylor McCarg, an ESPN college football analyst, former Rice Owl, joins us on the show each and every week. And we preview the biggest matchups around the conference. And then, certainly a number of other different segments. We usually have a student athlete on every single week. This week we had Naeem Simmons on from South Florida, who had a record-breaking day, crazy game against Rice, 272 receiving yards. So he was great to have on. But yes, be sure to check out our weekly show. It's myself and Taylor are the two on-air talent, and then Matt Sizik and Zach Fisher are working hard behind the scenes and are the voices of God. We call them back in the control room. They're never seen, but they do a heck of a lot for our team, our video team. And, it's been great. This is our second season of doing that. So we'd appreciate, anyone watching that's curious about American sports, American football, be sure to go check out our show.
And I apologize in advance if you did, but I have a suggestion for you guys, any conference, really.
Please, we love to hear.
I'm a basketball person. Everybody knows who follows me knows I'm a basketball person first. Is there a thought, plan, idea when the American announces their conference schedule to have like a show, like the NFL does a great job with their NFL release kind of thing, but just do the American highlight? You're obviously going to touch on everybody's in your member schools.
Yes.
But just say, hey, we got key matchups to mark on your calendar for this, a way to drum up more interest going forward. Have thought about that?
That's certainly a great idea. Yeah, we just announced the schedules last week. Sometimes it's so hard to know the timing of the schedules for us, just because we have teams that play in NBA arenas. So sometimes we're waiting on, some things from the Grizzlies to come down with the scheduling. But we have a great group of people who work on that in the conference office. Our basketball commissioner and a number of other folks, Kari Black, who is our associate commissioner for broadcasting and TV, that's getting all the details in place. So yeah, we announced those last week. It's, I hate to say in the middle of the football season, again, our conversation with, just resources and where we put our time and energy with conference play ramping up for football, we shine the light on that instead of highlighting our schedule. But don't worry, basketball will have its time in the sun. For basketball media days, we're going to have some outstanding coverage. And then also once we get into the basketball season, we'll be, doing similar shows, having different analysts on to break down our teams. Obviously a lot of exciting teams coming into this conference with, FAU having their Final Four run that they did, bringing everything back that they did. And then our reigning champs, Memphis, on the men's side. And then East Carolina on the women's side, probably one of the most underrated stories in all of college basketball last year. A team that was picked preseason 11th, dead last, ends up winning our tournament. So, yeah, I will say, we didn't do anything with the scheduling from a TV video side of things, but those releases are out on our website if you want to check those out. And, we'll certainly have plenty of basketball coverage once that season comes.
And for hoop heads, let everyone know where the Americans Basketball Championship will take place to be held.
Yeah, Dickies Arena. Once again, we will be back in Fort Worth, Texas. So definitely, it's a great environment. Chris, have you been out for our basketball championships?
Yes.
Okay. It's an incredible event. The Visit Fort Worth folks are great and work with us. And Fort Worth has a lot to offer. I am a Dallas native, so there is that rivalry and bias. But no, it's great and a lot of fun. A week-long event, and especially these 6 new schools too, and their fan bases. We hope that a lot of them come out with it being their first time to have the tournament. Here for them. And so definitely mark your calendars for Dickies Arena, Fort Worth, Texas in early March.
All right, Morgan, it's my pleasure for you taking time to talk to me here on the Roundball Review Takeover. Thank you very much. And I will see you on October 9th in Dallas for Media Day.
Chris, can't wait. Thanks so much for having me. See you at Media Days. Appreciate it.
Morgan Uber for the American. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thanks.
All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that conversation with Miss Morgan Uber from the American, as well as ESPN sideline reporter. I thank her very much for taking time to join me here on the Houston Roundball Review Takeover, powered by JM&E. Going to take a quick break to let everybody know about the BS3 network. And obviously, we got folks from the family looking like Mighty Duck on is chiming in with some comments. So it's great to forecast as well. But the BS3 network, changing the way you watch TV. And after the break, maybe a little bit after we come back from the break, Ravon Justice, head coach from Sam Houston State women's basketball, will be joining me to talk about the Bearkats, or I guess they're still the Lady Cats, and their upcoming 23-24 season. Be back in, let me say, 90 seconds, I want to say. We get that clip going up from the BS3 TV, BS3 network, changing the way you watch television. Be right back.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
Welcome back to the Houston Roundball Review Takeover, powered by JM&E, and also streaming live on Roku on the BS3 network. I am KG Chris Gardner, owner of the Houston Roundball Review. Thank you, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that conversation with Miss Morgan Uber from The American, as well as ESPN. Kudos and salute to Miss Donna Holman, Miss Wanda Polk for your comments and comments for Morgan in the conversation. If you have a Roku streaming device, just download BS3 TV. If not, just go to bs3network.com. And as I learn more and more about this technology thing here, the streaming platform, I want to do this for the audience with their great questions and comments. Salute to you guys. And it is time before Ravon Justice Coach Justice joins us. Get ready. Going to look at week 5 schedules, football schedules for local area teams and conferences. First up, let me talk some SWAC football here. All the games this weekend, September 30th. Tuskegee at Alabama A&M, 2 p.m. all-time Central. That game will be on HBCU Go. Lincoln at TSU. That game is surprisingly on AT&T Sportsnet. I wonder if it's going to be the alt channel, but still AT&T Sportsnet Southwest. That's a kickoff at 2 p.m. Southern at Arkansas Pine Bluff, 4 p.m. on the UAPB Sports Network. Alcorn State at Alabama State, 5 p.m. on Alabama State All Access. FAMU, Florida A&M at the Valley. Mississippi State, 6 p.m. on Valley Sports Network. And last but not least, Grambling Prairie View in Dallas, 6 p.m. State Fair Classic, Cotton Bowl on ESPN Plus, if you're not going to make that trek up to Dallas. And I don't think I will, but to the American, week 5. Tonight, Temple at Tulsa, 6:30 p.m. on ESPN. And then the rest of the games will be on Saturday, September 30th. First up, UAB at Tulane, 11 a.m. on ESPN2. Next, South Florida, coming off their 42-29 win over Rice. They're at Navy, 2:30 p.m. Game airing on CBS Sports Network. Boise State at Memphis, 3 p.m. Game on ESPN2. Locally in H-Town, Rice's AAC football opener. They're hosting East Carolina, 6 p.m. kickoff. Games on ESPN Plus if you're unable to make it down to Rice Stadium. Abilene Christian at North Texas, also 6 p.m. on ESPN Plus. And then last, Charlotte, new head coach Biff Pelogi at SMU. SMU coming off their loss to area rival TCU last week. Mustangs host Charlotte, 6:30 p.m. on ESPNU. Big 12 football. September 29th, Oklahoma State at BYU, 9:15 on ESPN. And then September 30th, ranked teams, Kansas football ranked. How about that? Back on track. Kansas at the Longhorns in Austin, 2:30 p.m. on ABC. Little side note, this Sunday night, really, have Miss Kenitra Pulliams will be joining me on Folks Talking Sports. 8:30 p.m. Central Time start for Folks Talking Sports to get KP to join me. She does work at Big 12 Now on ESPN Plus for Kansas Athletics. So let her get her take on that matchup, recapping the Longhorn Jayhawks football game. Once again, kicking off at 2:30 p.m. Saturday on ABC. Also 2:30 p.m. Central, the Houston Cougars will try to get their first Big 12 win, going to Lubbock against Texas Tech. Game is on FS2. Baylor, in their struggles, head coach Dave Aranda's feeling the heat. On the road in Orlando at UCF. 2:30 p.m. Game is on FS1. Iowa State at Oklahoma. 6 p.m. kickoff, also on FS1. And then West Virginia at TCU, 7 p.m. on ESPN2. So we've got some Big 12, American, and SWAC football as we gear up as I gear up for college basketball season. Media days are around the corner, truly, because SWAC basketball media days will be Tuesday. Yeah. Or Monday. So I'll run together. 3rd and 4th, or 4th and 5th. 2 days here in Humble, Texas. Looking forward to that. Women's basketball coaches first, followed by the men. Let me get my dates right. It's all run together here. But yep. Let's see. SWAC Media Day. Women's basketball is Tuesday, October 4th. Men will be Wednesday, October 5th. And as Morgan Uber and I discussed, a few days after that, on Monday, October 9th, the American will have their media day in Dallas. Then week after that, the Big 12 will have media days in Kansas City, Missouri. Yes, me, Chris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review, feel pretty safe in saying media days for Big 12 will be October 17th and 18th in Kansas City. I will be one of, I don't know for sure, but I'm going to pat myself on the back. I'm going to toot my horn, literally, because I will be, if not the only, one of the only media people to attend SWAC Hoops Media Day, the American Hoops Media Day, and the Big 12 Hoops Media Day. Yes, me, Chris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review, and the tiny budget, minuscule budget, will be attending all 3 of those conference media days. So if you want to help contribute to the Houston Roundball Review and help me keep hitting that rock, love to make this show, the Roundball Review Takeover, be more than just on Thursdays. Get the Folks Talking Sports show at night, be more than just on Sundays. Let's Talk Houston Rockets show, be more than just one day a week there as well. Support the Houston Roundball Review. Contact me on the gram, Threads, TikTok, Houston Roundball Review. If you want to advertise on any of those live stream shows, help make it happen. Want to buy some Houston Roundball Review merch? Click on that shop button on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube at the Houston Roundball Review's YouTube channel, buy some merch. Get you a mug, get you a tote bag, get you a shirt, a tank top, women's size, women's fit, youth fit, adult fit. Got you covered there. And I'm going to get some hoodies, Houston Roundball Review hoodies, for the folks who don't live in Houston to wear in seasons where it's actually cold, and have cities where it's actually 4 seasons, unlike Houston where it's just hot. Hot. That's all it is, hot. So I'm waiting on Coach Ravon Justice. I haven't heard from her, so hopefully she can come on these next few minutes on this edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover. But I'm going to pull up Sam Houston's non-conference schedule so you can take a look at it right here. Lady of the Lake exhibition game on November 1st. November 11th versus Houston Christian. November 14th, Coach Justice and her team will face the Houston Cougars. And Coach Huey's squad, Coach Justice used to be on the coaching staff at Houston before leaving to go to ATU and then Sam Houston. Next, November 21st at Texas State. Then home on the 25th of November against UTSA. FAMU will come to Sam Houston on December 1st. FAMU will be in the area basically that weekend. December 1st, they're playing Sam Houston. December 3rd, FAMU will be facing the Houston Cougars. And FAMU will be under new head coach Bridget Gordon. Bridget Gordon is a women's basketball Hall of Famer, a Tennessee Lady of All legend. Her first head coaching assignment, taking over the FAMU program. So she will be in the area, the Houston area, against Sam Houston on December 1st. And against Houston on December 3rd. December 5th, Sam Houston goes to Lubbock to face Texas Tech. December 16th, home versus UTA and Coach Sharika Wright. December 18th at SMU. December 21st at Utah Valley. And then wrapping it up, December 30th, hosting UTRGV. And there she is. Let me see. Look at that hairstyle she got right there.
What's going on, Chris?
Coach Justice, how are you?
I'm well. I was having some technical difficulties. So I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. Hey, I've known you for a long time. You're good. There's not much you could do to upset me, so it's all good. So how are you? Let's talk about the schedule real quick. Your thoughts on this schedule? Was it hard to put together?
Yes, I think it was challenging, just due to the fact that with us going to Conference USA, we had to take off some games and add some games because we have the Conference USA and WAC Challenge. So we had to make rooms for that. So moving some games around made it a little bit challenging, like opening up. We usually open up around the 11 to 8 like everybody else, but unfortunately, we had to move our exhibition game up closer to November than later. Then we go to Houston Christian comes to us. Then we go to U of H, which is going to be a challenging game, going on the road so early, just like going to Texas State, who were really good last year. UTSA, Karen does a great job there. I think her team will really be good this year. And then we try to get Florida A&M here. We went there last year, and they gave us a really good game. Going out to Texas Tech is always hard, as you know. We have UTA here, who is Sharika Wright, who's a good friend of mine. She has a really good team as well. We'll go back over there to SMU in Dallas, and we take the long trip to Utah Valley. That's our challenge game, as well as UTRGV, which is our challenge game as well.
All right, I'm going to enlarge the screen so I can see you more, see you clearly, see you better.
Okay.
Had Coach Wright on. She's been on this show a few times now. I'm glad to get you on the Roundball Review Takeover. And Sharika kind of put a bug in my ear to get you on the show, which I'm glad she did, because I'm like, yeah, I know Ravon for years. So, yeah, I need to get on the show. So
we've been knowing each other a long time.
Yeah, if you don't mind, how long have you known each other?
You covered our first game at HBU when I was the assistant there, back when Todd Buchanan was the head coach. Yep. And coming in, I remember you saying, "Hey, I'm Chris. I'll be covering y'all game today." I'm like, "Hey, I'm Ravon. I'm the new kid. So if anything messes up, it's definitely my fault." And you was just gracious and helping us do game day and everything. So we've been knowing each other since HBU, and I was in 2005.
It's a long time, Ravon. It's a long time.
It's a long time. Yep. When you said out loud, it's definitely long, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, please tell Brittany Mason I said hello.
I definitely will.
Josh Criswell. Remember Josh? He says hi.
Do. Oh, tell Josh to say hello.
I saw him yesterday at UH. We were covering the Cougs men's team's first fall practice.
Okay.
And I mentioned to him I was going to talk to you today, and he said, "Well, be sure and tell Ravon I said hi."
Josh is a nice guy. Definitely a nice guy. So you tell him I'll say hello when you speak with him.
I sure will. Tell me about your squad this year. Who you got?
We're losing a lot of scoring this year. We had two seniors that I thought kind of carried us, China Allen and Madeline Batista. Madeline's playing in France right now professionally, and China finishing up her master's here at Sam Houston State. So, when you lose that much scoring, I think Maddie was right around 12 or 13. China was right around 14 points a game. So when you lose a little bit of that scoring right there, not that any coach get nervous, but you hope that someone comes in and can fill those shoes. And I think we recruited a really good class. I think we recruited a lot of experience. We have 5 transfers that came into us this year. Diana Rosenthal came from Prairie View.
Yeah.
So I think that she scores the ball at an elite level. She's someone who plays really hard. We have Alexis.
Pause right there, Rick.
Okay.
RJ, pause. She gets buckets.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, she gets buckets. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
We have Alexis Seaton, who started for 7 games. Then she had an injury to her knee. So fortunately, we were gracious enough to have her back. And she averaged about 7 points for us. So she comes back to us. Kaylee's a senior. Kaylee Jefferson's been with me for 5 years. Thank God for COVID. I know that sounds bad, but I have opportunity to coach her one more year. And she's someone who brings a lot of leadership. So we're excited to have Kaylee back. Another upperclassman is Sydney Kemp. Sydney Kemp has been with us for 4 years, so she's a senior. But the other transfers that we have Renee Smith, who came from Colorado, who didn't get to play a lot last year due to injuries, but I'm excited to see her progression thus far. We have Cassidy Dixon. She was at Grand Canyon. Then she went to JUCO in Arizona. So she's been doing great as of right now in the preseason. And, we have Shanti, who didn't play a lot last year because of Shanti Henry. She's another transfer who didn't get to play because of injury. So we're pretty excited about our class, to be honest with you.
Is the team healthy?
We are healthy right now. We do have one player that won't play at the beginning of the year. Tweaked her knee in the preseason. That's Kayla Kelly. She's a transfer from Trinity Valley. So she's a kid that won't get to play early on, but we're expecting to have her back.
For those who have not seen any of your teams, how would you describe your team, your coaching style, philosophy?
Chris, that's a tough one. We try to keep it as simple as possible. We run a 4-out motion offense, which sometimes goes into dribble drive. But I think that we make all our money on the defensive end. We probably average 70 points a game, but we do a really good job of pressuring the basketball and trying to force turnovers. But I think that that's what we've done great for the last couple of years is defending and rebounding the basketball.
RJ, let me see. Injuries, only one. Yes. You have a timetable when she's going to come back for this season?
We're expecting twin. We call her twin, but her name's Kayla Kelly. We're expecting her to be back right around December, but you know how that goes with injuries. You hope you get them back sooner, but you got to trust the doctors in that situation.
How has the transition to Conference USA gone for you and the team?
I guess I can answer that question in January, but I don't know, Chris. To be honest with you, this is going to be my 3rd conference in 4 years.
Yep.
So, I don't think that we get an opportunity to really try to evaluate the conference. We don't get an opportunity to pretty much just like I know what the Big 12, what they have, what the ACC have, what the WAC have and stuff like that, the Southland. But when you're going into a conference, you can say, oh, well, this is what they do well. But until you get in there and start playing some games, you don't know if it's going to be guard heavy or if it's going to be post heavy. And I think right now, just from the teams that we've played in Conference USA, they've had a really good balance. So, hopefully, we have that balance as well going into Conference USA.
How difficult has it been? You touched on it. This will be the 3rd conference for you in 4 years. How has it impacted recruiting?
It's impacted because you're trying to make recruits understand that, although you're moving conferences, you're not moving down conferences. And, I know that matters, especially if some players want to play at a high level, that matters. So, the challenging part is just when somebody say, oh, y'all in the Southland, you're like, no, we're in the Southland like 3 years ago. Oh, you're in the WAC. No, we're in Conference USA. So that's the part that's challenging, making them understand, hey, this is where we are. This is where we're going to be for a while. And so that part has been challenging. As far as recruiting, I think we do a really good job, not just in the state of Texas, but in the South of recruiting and kind of getting Sam Houston out there. So that part hasn't been challenging, but definitely trying to get recruits to understand where we are in each conference is kind of challenging.
How long have you been a coach? Not a head coach, a coach.
I am going into my 20th year. I'm going into my 20th year.
How long have you been a head coach?
I'm going into my 7th year. 7th year as a head coach. 7th year.
So you're going into your 20th year as a coach. Black don't crack.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
I'm going to say, because I'm sure folks watching us on YouTube and Facebook and X and Roku. Wow, she's been coaching that long. Yeah. See, that's why I asked. Describe your when you hooped. What was your game like?
I just wanted to be a dog. I wanted to be aggravating on the court defensively. I wanted to be sound on the offensive end. So I just wanted to be someone that every opportunity you gave me, whether it was getting a steal or making a bucket, I wanted to take advantage of it. And I definitely think I try to get that to our players as well. And I try to recruit athletes that have that same demeanor, just being a dog on the floor. And so, that's something I take pride in. And even in the recruiting aspect, if you can't defend or if you're not thinking about winning every game that's on our schedule, you're somebody we really don't want on our basketball team. And so, I mean, you watch us play Rice this year. We really want to get down and guard and want to be really good on both sides of the ball.
All right, Jay, Coach Ravon Justice, Sam Houston, make it official. Let me know officially. Are y'all the Lady Cats or the Bearkats or the Women's Cats? Whatever. What are you?
We are definitely the Bearkats. We are the Bearkats, and we really have rebranded. I don't know if you saw that over the last couple of years. We've rebranded, and we usually only go by Sam Houston. Right. We don't really go by Sam Houston State anymore. It's Sam Houston, and I'm proud of that brand. I think it's came a long way, and I'm excited about our future. I think that our football team going into FBS as well as going to Conference USA has helped us in recruiting. But like I know, when you move up levels, you definitely have an expectation in every program to be really, really good.
Ravon Justice, head coach of Sam Houston Bearkats women's basketball team. Thank you very much for taking time to join me here on the Houston Roundball Review Takeover. See, Ravon, I'm branching out too. See, I'm growing and expanding too. See,
you are. I remember when you was coming there with your little camcorder and interviewing us, putting the mic back and forth. So yeah. You're a really good person to have on my side. And anytime I've ever been in your presence, you've been very positive, and I appreciate that.
Thank you very much. And I will see you on November 14th for sure when y'all come to Fertitta Center to face Houston. Looking forward to that.
Sounds good. Chris, thank you so much for having me. I'm sorry for my delay, but I appreciate you having me. And I look forward to being on your show many more times, okay?
You got it. And remind Brittany that I am just a social media hit away. If she wants to do an interview, she'll love that.
She would. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. I hope everyone enjoyed today's edition of the Houston Roundball Review Takeover, powered by JM&E, streaming live on Facebook, X, Twitch, YouTube, and of course, on Roku via the BS3 network. Thank you very much to my guests, Morgan Uber from The American and head coach Ravon Justice from Sam Houston. Until next Thursday, everybody take care. And remember, the Houston Roundball Review, been on the grind since 1994. Houston Roundball Review. Local name, global perspective. Y'all take care. Peace.